Okay, let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's Lunch and Learn session in our Building Blocks of Green Building webinar series that we hold on the second Tuesday of the month at 12 noon Eastern Time. Last month, we learned about the many benefits of a green home and heard from several homeowners who live in green homes or are remodeling their homes to be greener. Today, we hope to give you ideas of easy upgrades you can do to your home and make it more comfortable and lower your utility bills. On behalf of our sponsor, the Florida Green Building Coalition, or FGBC as we call it, I would like to thank you for joining us today. If you missed any of our previous webinars or would like to listen to them again, just go to the youtube.com website and type in Florida Green Building Coalition to view any of our other videos. While you're there, please subscribe to our channel as we work towards our goal of 100 subscribers. Florida Green Building Coalition is the leading certifier of high-performance homes, both new and remodeled, multifamily complexes, high-rises, commercial buildings, local governments, and communities throughout Florida. FGBC has more than 25,500 certified projects to date. What makes our certification so important is the rating system is based on climate-specific criteria particular to our state. If living greener is one of your passions and you would like to volunteer on one of our many committees or just support our organization's efforts, we have several low-cost membership categories and would welcome your input in any of our committees. I have been a volunteer since 2008. And the wealth of information I have received is priceless. My name is Jeannette Moore, and I'm the chair of FGBC's Realty Appraiser Builder Outreach Committee. I am also the real estate broker of Green Florida Properties in St. Augustine and an instructor of the Green Designation course for the National Association of Realtors. Our guest speaker, Bill Kachman, is a retired Army general, Florida Green Building Coalition's 2021 president, and AFGBC certifying agent. He has been a board director for many years and currently chairs the Home Standards Committee that writes and revises the standards for residential green certifications. Bill will be going through a series of improvements you can make to your existing home to make it greener, and at the end, you will have an opportunity to ask any additional questions. You can also add questions in the chat above, and I will check those throughout his talk. So welcome, Bill. Please help us learn more about what we can do to our homes to make them more comfortable and our wallets fatter.
Thank you, Jeanette. Thanks for the promotion. Actually, I only retired as a major, not as a general.
Oh.
We'd all like to get to that level, but no. Next slide, please. One of the biggest things we all talk about here in the state of Florida, especially in our line of work, is sustainability and what that actually means. And the best, easiest way to describe it is status quo. We don't want to use more resources, material, and everything that we do on a daily basis more than we have available. And that's one of the things that we built our standards for, is to try to maintain an ecological balance in the state of Florida for our residents. Next slide. Our population generally has risen over the last 5 years at almost 1,000 families per day. If you can get your arms around that, that's a large number. We're the third largest state in the union, and we keep growing faster than any other state there is. Even over COVID-19, there's been a problem with recording numbers, but we don't think we've lost that much. We've probably kept it the same and maybe even increased a little bit. Next slide. What the avoidance of depletion of natural resources, what we're looking at is water, air, food, fuel, materials, the basic things we need, the building blocks for life. Next slide. What can we do? Can we stop growth? Probably not. Florida's a nice place to live. We don't have any income taxes here, and there's still a lot of available places to live, so we probably won't be able to stop growth. Import resources, we don't want to do that. Once you start importing resources, then it costs you more and the prices go up. Just forget about it. I don't think we have the ability to do that. Next slide. Why should I do anything? Well, one, if you reduce your energy levels and you have a more efficient house, you're going to lower your monthly energy and water bills. The better home you have built, the lower your homeowner insurance is going to be. The safer your house is, the healthier it is, the more improved your air quality is going to be, the less amount of time that you're going to be sick during the year. Improved greater access to mortgages at a reduced rate because they know that you're financing a house that's built better than the ordinary house. Next slide. Our home is like a big ecosystem in itself. There's a lot of things that go into the factoring of it, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Things that you can improve on, things that you can change, whatever, to make your home more livable as you go through it. This slide is a little bit hard to see because there's so much going on, but I'm going to try to talk a little bit about it. One of the things you can do to reduce your energy costs is everybody wants to talk about solar now. It's something that can reduce your energy costs. Everybody talks about being able to get money back from your electric company. Well, it depends on the size of the system you have, the type of system you have, and everything else. There's a lot to go into solar. The big thing I can tell you to do is when you get a solar contract, check him out real good, make sure he understands your house and your requirements before he sells you a system. Indoor air quality, we talked about that. Ralph, my partner, and I, we go out and do home inspections. The biggest thing we find when we do a home inspection, one of the first things we look at is the filter for the HVAC system. I don't know how many of them I've picked off, and big clump of dust comes out and hits the floor. Change your air filters once a month or once every 3 months, depending on the type one. You'll improve your air quality in the house. Painting, if you're refresh painting, you want to look at low VOC things. Reducing your water usage in a house. Rain barrels for your gardens. If you collect rain off the roof, we've had so much rain lately here. One of our little thunderstorms comes through here, and it probably dumps 1,000 to 2,000 gallons of water off your roof in a couple of minutes. If you save some of that water and use it in your gardens, you're only going to reduce your water usage outside. Carbon monoxide alarms. If you have an older house, you don't know if your seals are real good around your door for your garage coming in. You want to have a carbon monoxide alarm in your house in case you're running something, a lawnmower, or working on something outside and fumes are getting in your house. Or also remember during storms not to run your generator in the garage because you're going to fumigate yourself inside and you're going to end up as a casualty. These are some of the things we look at. Position of trees around the house, the type of roof that you have on your house, safe rooms in your house, designating it. Our storms here come in at 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Safe rooms are going to save your life in case you have a downburst and maybe damages your home. If you're in a safe room, you have a better chance of survival. These are all a lot of things that we look at and go through our standards and some of the things we can help you with your house. Next slide, please. These are not new questions people ask us all the time. We've been doing it since early 70s, talking about pollution and things that we can do to make our environment better. New millennium coming along. The kids are growing up. They're more educated and they're asking a lot more questions. 20 years ago, we created FGBC to try to solve some of these equations and help people build their house. Lately, we've keep improving on them, and we keep changing our standards and everything to make sure that we stay ahead of the code and we make life better for the owners of homes. We're a coalition of builders, environmentalists, technicians, and concerned citizens. A lot of smart people look at our standards, and we try to improve them all the time. Recently, we've added some people that are talking to our legislators up in Tallahassee to try to help them and educate them on some of the things that we're doing to maybe help them improve some of the situations we have here in Florida in our sustainability. And we do partnerships with other like-minded organizations because there's always strength in numbers. Next slide, please. What do? We do green certifications. We certify in several different categories: energy, water, lot choice, site, health, materials, disaster mitigation, and a general category, which is an educational one, and where people, if they find something new that they want to do to their house that makes an improvement on it, we'll look at it and we'll give them credit for that, and it might end up in our standards later on. Next slide. What do we certify? We certify homes, multifamily, high-rise, commercial, land development, local governments, hotels. You name it, we'll certify it. How does this affect you? A certified home green home uses less energy, water, it's healthier, it's Florida friendly, and is built stronger. What do we mean by Florida friendly? We use plants that are native to our environment and use less water and are easier to maintain. Aren't there other green certifications around? Yes, there are. There's many of them out there. Ours is the only that is focused on our Florida environment, what affects us on our daily lives, not how the snow is affecting us up in Minnesota or how other things are in other states. We're worried about what is effective here. We also do hands-on inspection. All our CA agents have to go out and they have to document everything, take pictures and gather up all the material to get certified. And that's all sent to a third-party person who verifies it, and then you get your certification. Next slide. I already own a home. What can I do? You can improve energy. You can get a HERS test, which is a home energy rating system. I'll talk about that a little bit more. It tells you what your miles per gallon of your house is on energy side. You can improve your windows. You can get better lights. You know, LEDs are coming out all the time now. They're great cost savings. They reduce energy costs in your house by a great deal. The colors in your house can be effective on your house. We'll talk about that a little bit more. The roof of your house, which is very important here in Florida. Your appliances, making sure that they have Energy Star labels on it, that they use the least amount of energy, water sense labels, so that they use the least amount of water and they still do the job that you want done. Next slide. Level 1 energy is what we're going to talk about. Weatherizing your home. If you have a home that leaks, you're losing cold air during the summertime outside and letting hot air in, and during the winter, you're letting cold air in, you're letting hot air out. You want to make sure that your house is sealed well. A HERS test will tell you exactly how much leakage you have in a house, but generally you can stand in front of a door or window, and if you feel a breeze coming through, you need new weather stripping. Lighting. Energy Star approved CFLs and LEDs. They are saving a significant amount of our energy bill. CFLs were a big thing a little while back, but LEDs have come along, the price has dropped on them, and I think most people are leaning towards LEDs for the most part. If you're replacing an old appliance, a refrigerator, a dishwasher, a stove, a washing machine, or a dryer, look to see if it has an Energy Star or water sense label on it. You're going to get an energy efficient or water efficient appliance to replace it with. Windows, if you need to replace your windows, look for the windows that have the lowest amount of energy leakage through them. And also we have storm windows out now that can protect your home. So look for those kind of windows to replace with and get a contractor to install them properly. If they're not installed properly, they won't work properly. HVAC systems. We have a lot of remote controllers now that you can operate from your phone or your iPad, or they're just easy to see on the wall and everything. A lot of those have what they call an eco setting. If you don't know how to set it, because a lot of them are very complicated, turn it on to eco setting. And that's what the federal government recommends for your how much air conditioner you use during the day, how much heat you use during the day, and when to turn it off. And a lot of them now, like the Nest ones and some of those others, will actually track your usage inside the house, how many times that you're home or not home, and it will automatically adjust it and set it up for you to use the least amount of energy for heating and cooling your home. We used to start looking at hybrid water heaters in our houses now, but they've come a long way on the electric ones now, and most electric ones, as long as they have an Energy Star rating on them, will do a good job for you. And we'll also talk about some tips that you can make them even more efficient. Next slide. Your windows are some of the biggest things in your house that cause you an energy cost. And that is light coming through. It's nice to have a lot of light in your house, but if you're also getting the heat transmitted through with that light, you're warming up your house. It means you have to turn on the air conditioner to cool it off. There are some things that you can do to an older windows without having to replace them until you can afford to, or replace them as you go along. You can put on reflective film on the outside, which, you know, it's like a silvery film. It's like a mirror surface. Now will reflect some of the energy back off of your windows and reduce some of your heat source inside. But again, make sure that your caulking and your seals are good around your windows. to reduce the amount of air that is escaping out and the amount of air that's coming in that will cause you energy problems. Next slide. Also, up in your attic, a lot of us have blown in insulation, or we have the pink fiberglass stuff up there. You need to check it from time to time. If it's blown in insulation, most people don't know that it will sink with time. As it sinks with time, it becomes less energy efficient. So you want to make sure that whatever you're looking for in your attic, R13, R20, whatever, you know how deep your blown insulation needs to be. Also look for things like cellulose blown in insulation because it's better for your health. There's less things that can attract moisture in it, less chance of getting mold into it to replace it with. Same thing, we used to think, go pink, go pink. Fiberglass is in here in the state of Florida can absorb moisture, and from there it can turn into mildew and it can affect your health. So look for things that have a health sense or a green sense label on them before you put something in. Next slide. Again, we talked about light bulbs. I say there's LEDs out there and everything. The biggest complaint I've had from people on LEDs is looking at the type of light it gives off. There are different kelvination values that you can use on it. And the lower ones tend to be a little bit more yellow or tannish in color. A lot of people don't like that. Go to the brighter ones and you can get a more white light out of it. And if you really love white light, you can go to the really high ones and it's screaming white. But most of them are like 3 to 6 watts compared to the old bulbs that we used that were 40 and 60 watts, but produce the same amount of light. Next slide. Again, anytime you buy a new piece of appliance in your home, even a VCR or a television, look for the energy guide label on it. Look for the one that's got an Energy Star. You'll see it down there in the lower corner, and you'll know that it meets the federal levels for the lowest usage in an appliance in the country. That's what you want to be looking at. And it also, like I was talking about with the HERS, the energy guide is the same thing. It gives you that miles per gallon. In this case, it's kilowatts per hour on a yearly basis. And you can tell from that which one is more efficient than another one. Next slide. Thermostats, I say there's a lot of new ones now, everything. Some of them are hard to put in. You may have to have a contractor, HVAC contractor come out and install it for you. But the Nest ones will actually talk you through on your telephone how to set it up. They can save you a lot of money. Biggest thing is if you're not in the house for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, then you don't need to be running it at 65 degrees. You need to be setting it probably at 80 and leaving it that way. You can also program it during the summertime to come on an hour before you get home. So when you get home, the house is cooler and you don't have to run the air conditioner as long, as high a setting to get the temperature down to where you want it. Same thing with wintertime. But these will save you a significant amount of money on your HVAC bill. Next slide. There are different ways to protect your attics. Right now, most of our houses we build, we want sealed attics. We do not allow air in or out of them. We seal them up. But that can make it a big baking oven like up there unless they're properly done. There are thermal foils out there, radiant barriers that are very inexpensive. They can be either glued or stapled to your roof. Make sure you know what you got on your roof. I've seen people put staples through and they staple all the way through the roof and you got a leaking roof. But they can, at a lower cost, you can put them up there and they save a significant amount of money by reflecting the heat back off the roof instead of into your attic. Next slide. Repainting your home exterior with a color that is light reflective. Almost all paints, if you go online, you look at the color you're looking at, you look at it, it'll have statistics about it. If you pull that up, it'll tell you what the LRV is of that. And you want a color that has a reflectivity of greater than 50%, because that will keep it from absorbing heat and making your room hotter. And also a livelier room, it makes you feel a little bit better when you're painting. Next slide. Energy. Install an Energy Star water heater. Again, the picture we have here is what they call hybrid, and it actually is like a heat pump for an air conditioner. We've heard a lot of problems with them. They're very expensive, but we've noticed when we go out and look at the new water heaters coming out that the Energy Star label on the sides are showing significant savings over the old ones. You can probably get by with a regular one. If you're putting solar on your house, do not get a hybrid. Do not get a solar water heater, because your solar up there already is providing your electric. Go ahead and get an electric water heater. But if you look at the chart, see how much percentage we're looking at with water used, and look at the shower, 37.3%. That's a lot of usage of water just for the shower, and you're heating that all the time. So you want a good, solid, energy saving water heater. Next slide. Lights outside. We all want security in our yards and everything, but your lights don't need to be on all day long, and they don't need to be the old fluorescents that were 60 to 100 watts. You can get LED outside spotlights now that will light up the area just as well and use 3 to 5 watts. And if you have a sensor on it, either a motion sensor or a day-night sensor, that will save you a lot of money on your electric bill. So if you have outside lighting, look to replace them with energy efficient lights that have a motion sensor on it is your best bet. Next slide. This is one of the things that a lot of people in older houses never have checked. And it used to be Florida Power Light would come in and do it for free. I don't know if they still do that, but you can, for a very low cost, between $50 and $100, have somebody come in and do a smoke test, and they can determine if you have any leaks in your duct. Why does that matter? Well, if you have a leak in your duct, that means that you're leaking out cold air into your attic or hot air during the winter time, and you're not cooling off your house. And the more it leaks, the less air you're getting into it to be able to use. So you have to turn up the air conditioner or turn it down lower so that you use it more. So if your ducts are sealed properly, you won't be wasting energy. Next slide. Install a timer on your water heater. This is if you're working a lot and you've got that hour and a half travel to work, an hour and a half back, and you're gone for 10 or 12 hours a day, you don't need to be heating your water during that time of day when you're gone. So a simple, inexpensive timer can be put in, and those times that you're not there, you can turn it off. And again, set it so that it comes back on an hour before you get home, and that way you'll have hot water when you get home, and it saves a significant amount of energy. Next slide. Ceiling fans. Here in Florida, all of us use ceiling fans. It reduces it makes you feel a little bit cooler in the house and everything, but it uses energy. Recently, a lot of these new ones coming in with LED lights on them and Energy Star labels. So if you're replacing a ceiling fan or you got a room that doesn't have one, look for the one that's got an Energy Star label on it and replace those in your house. Next slide. Weatherizing your home. This is the biggest thing we look at when we inspect homes on older homes, is the caulking has not been touched in 10 or 15 years. It's cracked, it's open, bugs are getting in, air's getting in, your house is leaking. Weather stripping and caulking of your house needs to be done on checked at least on a yearly basis. You may not have to do it every year, but if you check it, at least you'll know that it's been done. Remove the HVAC vent covers, diffusers, and install gaskets or caulk behind them and reinstall. Those big vents in your walls or the ones you have in your floor, they'll come out of the wall very easily. The ones that are in the drywall are usually screwed in, but if you Phillips screwdriver, you take it out and everything. They make a gasket that goes around it, and that keeps the air coming out of the vent the way it's supposed to and not blowing around the sides. And it also doesn't allow you to sit there and cool off the inside of your walls. So that's very important. Same thing, they have gaskets for your electrical panels on your house for your outlets. You can put those in, and that again doesn't allow air to move one way or the other. It keeps everything where you want it to be. Same thing with if you've got pot lights in your ceiling, you can get gaskets for those. You don't want to be air conditioning your attic, you want to be air conditioning your home. Some of the water saving tips. The biggest one is look for leaks in your home and leaks on the outside of your house. If you're wondering why your water bill's so high and everything, that's the first thing that I would look for is leaks in the house. If you've got a leak, fix it. New gaskets need to be replaced here in Florida all the time because of the heat and moisture we have in. Those gaskets get very brittle, they come apart, and your hoses stuff will leak. Keep them, they're like $1.50 for like 10 or 15 of them. You can keep them in your drawer in your house and always have one available. Take a power shower. Don't sit there all day long and take a shower. If you're getting ready to go to work, get in there and get out. It'll save you a lot of money. As I say, 37% of your water usage is in that shower. So do what you can. Make sure that if you don't know what the heads are in your shower and your faucets and stuff like that, replace them with ones that are water sense ones. They'll reduce the amount of water, but you'll still get a good solid shower. Gas Energy Star appliances. A lot of our appliances, if you can use energy efficient ones, they're going to reduce your cost. And some of the gas ones are even more energy efficient. You can check them all out online. They either have the label on them, or you can go online and find out specifications. Find the one that's going to do the job you want, but do it the most efficiently. Florida friendly landscaping. This is one we were talking about before. We want the right plant in the right place. What does that mean? If it's a plant that needs shade, you don't want it out in the sun. If it's a plant that needs a lot of sun, you don't want it in the shade. If it's a plant that doesn't require a lot of watering, you don't want it in a low-lying area that's always filling up with water. So look for the right plant for the right place. You can go to local IFAS, which is Florida Friendly Yards Neighborhood people. Every county has one. You can look it up on your local county and find out. Go over, see them. They'll show you the right plants for the right place. Make sure that they're native plants. We don't want to import other people's junk. Water efficiency. We want to make, like I said before, if you set up a couple of rain barrels, capture some of that water, you can water your plants, keep them nice and fresh and doing well in your yard without having to use that water out of your house. Also, if you're on city water, our plants don't like to have all those chemicals they put in the city water into your plants. A couple of rain barrels will take care of that for you. Fertilize appropriately. You don't need a dark green yard 365 days a year. Again, talk to IFAS. They'll tell you the proper times of the year to fertilize so that you're not running all that fertilizer down into our streams and waterways and creating other problems with it. We want the fertilizer to be appropriately used to make your yard look proper. Mulch. The more mulch you can use, it holds moisture, keeps weeds from growing, makes your yard look nice. Refreshing your mulch and doing it properly. Again, let's look at ones that are made for Florida. We want pine bark, things of that nature. We don't want to be using oak and oak trees and stuff like that, cutting them down to make mulch. Attract wildlife. Plant some plants into your yard that attract the wildlife. I've got a fire brush right outside my door. I get to watch the hummingbird come by every day. And yesterday I saw my first butterflies coming. It's fun to sit there and watch that. They're good for your yard. They're good for the nature. Manage yard pests responsibly. Again, we don't want to spray a bunch of chemicals around. If you have a well, you don't want that getting down into your well. Let's use them the way they need to be. Look for ones that are recommended by IFAS that will do the job of killing the pests, but not do the job of killing the wildlife around you. Recycle as much as possible. If you cut a yard, use the mulch thing. Let the blades cut up and mulch your grass so it goes back into your soil. It will keep your soil with more nutrients in it, keep your lawn less needing of fertilizer and other things to it. If you rake up all your leaves and stuff like that, you can use it for mulch. It works just as effectively too. Or you can set up a compost bin and make compost and use it for an outside garden. So recycle everything you do in your yard. Reduce stormwater runoff. You don't like those trenches down through your yard. Try to figure out where the water's coming off your house and your buildings and everything, and direct them to areas that you can use and into the proper areas so that you won't be damaging your yard or polluting the waterways around you. And protect the waterfront. If you live on a waterfront, you want at least a 10 feet buffer from the water's edge up to your yard. That can be mulch. You can put Florida friendly plants in that area. You can still make it look nice, but you want to keep your grass and your other things that you may be putting fertilizer or bug killer in. You don't want that getting down into the water. And turn off the taps in your house and use less water when you're flushing the toilet. Those are always things that will help your water bill and help you out in the future. Next slide, please. We want to change rubber hoses to reinforced hose or special PVC hoses on all your water appliances, your washer, your toilets in your house, and under your sinks. Those are there. Those are made so that they won't leak and they won't blow out while you're away on vacation. Because it seems like every time you have a flood in your house, it's always when you're not there, and that does all the damages. So change your rubber hoses with reinforced hoses. Next slide, please. Replace your shower heads and your faucets in the house with water efficient faucets and shower heads. Shower heads, we want 2 gallons per minute or less on your flow rate. And the ones they make nowadays, you don't have to worry about like in the old days. Say, we'll get you can shampoo and get shampoo out of your hair. Some of them will knock you down. They're so strong. Next slide. Same thing with your faucets. You can put aerators on them, or you can replace your faucets out with 2 gallons or less per minute. Next slide. Your washer, this is a big one. We used to use this water factor, but we're finding less and less companies are telling us what the water factor is. Make sure it has an Energy Star or a Water Sense label on it. That means it will be equal to or less than 3.7. Next slide. Replace dishwasher or an Energy Star labeled appliance. Again, some of the new ones out, you can run them daily and they use less than the ones did that you ran for once a week. They're very efficient nowadays, and the one I got now, I love it. I can hear the television when it's on at night, and that's when I like to usually run it. They've made them so much quieter. They're insulated, so they don't give off a lot of heat, and they really reduce the amount of water usage, and they get your dishes clean. Next slide. Toilets are a big one. Everybody out there now has low flush toilets. We like the dual flush ones because when you're doing number one, you only need one flush. If number two, you use the other flush. I mean, it's just the amount of gallons, but you want something that's 1.6 gallons total or less. Again, look for your Water Sense or Energy Star label on these. Next slide. If you've got a sprinkler system, this is required by law, but nobody ever checks to make sure they're working. They need to be checked to make sure that they're working so that when it's raining outside, you're not watering your yard. So let's make sure that we have those on there and they work properly. If you don't know how to check them, ask the person that installed your system in to come out and check it for you. Next slide. I would hope that if you're running a large yard with sprinkler systems in, that you have a controller on it. Some of the new ones actually will connect to your internet and they'll check the weather for you and turn off your sprinklers if it's raining outside. They're easier to program. You can run these by stages instead of the whole yard being watered at a time. You can water it in areas to reduce the amount of watering on it, and they work very effectively and are easy to control. Next slide. This again, replace minimum of 200 square foot of turf with Florida-friendly plants. Why do we want to do that? Grass sucks water up, especially St. Augustine. I know a lot of HOAs require you to have St. Augustine. Check with them to find out if you can replace some of that with nice mulched-in areas with Florida-friendly bushes and plants and stuff that don't use all that water, but still look nice. There are landscapers out there that have gone through the Water Star program and have a Water Star certificate. They can come in and design a Florida-friendly yard for you. If your yard is looking terrible, they'll make it look good. And they'll make it efficient and water-friendly. Next slide. This is the rain barrels that we're talking about. It's very easy to do these. You can buy these barrels on 30-gallon barrels out there on the road every day for $10. Put a screen over the hole on it to keep the mosquitoes from getting in there and breeding, and just let your water flow into it. Little faucet on the bottom of it, and you can just fill a bucket up or fill your can up and water your plants with it. That's what we call rain harvesting. We do have on our specifications for new homes, and it's in our newest standards under homes, we show you how to design a water harvesting system for your whole house that you can use for flushing your toilets. You can use it for drinking and everything else. We're getting better and better with this all the time, and stay tuned to us. We're going to have some more things out there in the future for you. Next slide. If you have a pool, keep it covered when you're not using it. It'll keep it warmer during the winter time. It will reduce the amount of evaporation so that you don't have to add water to it all the time. And it'll keep the leaves and the bugs and other things out so you won't have to be out there scooping it every day. It makes it a little bit easier for you, and it's a lot more efficient. Next slide. If you have a sprinkler system outside, have an irrigation professional perform a checkup on your system. We see driving by houses, they've turned on their water and it's skyrocketing into the sky. That's using up water that you don't need to. Look at having a professional come out and do a performance check on it. Look to make sure you got rainbird heads on it that are that are Water Sense labeled, so they use enough water to water, but not too much to water. and that they're adjusted properly so that you're watering the plants, not the sidewalk and the streets and everything. Or permanently get rid of it. Things to consider for health inside. If you're repainting a house, get low VOC or zero VOC paints. What's a VOC? Volatile organic compound. It's a big word. What it basically means is stuff that makes it harder for you to breathe, can cause you trouble breathing and allergies and other problems because of the chemical off-gassing it does. Colors that are more reflective, that are more pleasant in your house. Dark colors, we found out psychologically are not good for you. Bright colors make you feel better in your house. Check those house filters and replace them when they need to be replaced. Also look to make, on the outside, they have what they call a MERV rating on it. Look for an 8 or higher MERV value on it. That means the more particles it will filter out of your system so that you won't have to breathe them in when it comes back through your HVAC system. Flooring, if you're replacing your flooring, look for something that's got a green sense label on it. That means that it's made with sustainable materials. It has a low VOC on it that won't off-gas on you, and it's better for your health. Green Seal is the other big United States wide seal on it. If you're getting something that has a Green Seal label on it, you know you're getting something that's going to be good for you and good for your home. Next slide. Materials. Buy materials locally. Why? Well, the materials we sell locally here in Florida are adjusted and made for this area that we're in. It also helps our local producers and our local merchants to keep them in business. Look for green certified materials. That means they're going to be healthier. They're going to be made of sustained material. They're going to have more recycled material in them. They're better for it. And then recycle. Make sure that your cuts and everything else are recycled. Almost every yard down here for junk and everything else has recycle areas. You can recycle your material into. A lot of them will actually pay you for some of your recycling. Just all you have to do is go online and look ahead of time. Next slide. How about survivability? We call it disaster mitigation. Everybody else calls it resiliency. Okay, but the same thing is protecting yourself in a storm or a national emergency or any of these things that can come along and hurt you. Our thunderstorms are some of them are very disaster mitigation. Make sure your windows and doors have the right pressures according to code. You can call any of your property appraisers or go down to your local county and they'll tell you what your windows and doors need to be at, what your pressure levels are to meet code. If you get anything better than that, great. Structural tie downs. How many people have gone out and looked at your air conditioner unit outside and see if it's got metal straps holding it to the concrete block, or if it's even on a concrete pad out there? If you got things out in the yard, make sure they're tied down or they're removed before storms come in. If you're in a mobile home or a manufactured home, make sure that it has the proper tie downs on it. Otherwise, it can be blown over or it can be lifted up off of its pads. You don't want that while you're inside of it. Backup power. Generator for backup power when you're out of electric for a long time. We just had a tropical storm come through. This was the lowest number I've ever seen of people that were without electric. But I made sure I had all my generators up and running before the storm, just in case. That will always help you. Again, make sure that you run them in a safe place. Do not run them in a place that's going to leak carbon monoxide into your house. A safe room. Think about where you want to be during a hurricane or a tornado. We don't have earthquakes here, thank God, but we have other things, a flood. You want somewhere that you're above the flood level for your area, that is dry and safe, that's got more walls and no windows, and a good strong roof over your head. And then put your emergency supplies and equipment in there. It's already ready. You don't have to think about it at the last second. You can get in there and survive and everything. Preparation, education, education, education. Going to these webinars and talking to people like us, going online, looking at our site, doing an education will make you better and save you money and make your house healthier. Gardens. If you don't have a garden, you can make them very simply. I hear people all the time, I live in a condominium, I don't have a yard, so I can't make a garden. There are things called tower gardens out there. You can go online and look at it. There are several different types ones on there. Most of them are about 3 to 4 cubic meters in size, and you can grow just about anything in them. New products and procedures. You know, if you see something come up and everything, do your research. Just because it's new doesn't mean it's better. Look at it, talk to some other people, go online and see what other people are saying about it. But sometimes, you know, for a low price, you can replace something in your house and save you a lot of money. In the last couple of years, it's been those controllers for your HVAC system. Some of those are for less than $100 can save you $50, $60 a month in replacing them out. If you don't know how to do it, get an electrician to come in and do it for you, get an HVAC person to come in and do it for you. These are some of the simple things that you can do for a house to make it green. If you want to go beyond that, you can go on our site and you can look at our standards, and we show you what you can do for rehabbing your house and doing everything you need to get it to the green. We can even recertify your house if you go through it. Biggest thing is we're going to require you to have that HERS, the home energy rating system. And that's our way of making sure that you've done it right, that you've got a low enough score to make it more efficient. I think we have another slide on here that tells where you can talk to. Oh yeah. Talk to other people, tell others, go out there and, you know, and talk to people who've done it before, who have a greenhouse, and they can tell you the things that they like about your house. If you do something that saves you money, tell your neighbor, because they'll also want to tell a neighbor. It's one of those things, talking to other people. I think the next slide tells you how to contact us and where to get hold of us. That's a retrofit guideline that you can find on our site. It'll show you all these things I talked about in here. Next slide. And if you have any questions, you don't know what you're doing and need help, call us. There's somebody always on the line there to talk to you and give you the information or get you to the right person to help you. I'm ready for questions, Jeannette.
Wow, Bill, thanks for letting us know some of these great upgrades. I obviously still have some things to do to my home after listening to what you have to say. So let's see what kind of questions our audience has. So let me see if we've got any. Well, it doesn't. Let me see. Nothing in the chat. Let's see. Okay, no open questions. I have a question though. Sure. I was wondering, as far as when you talk about the radiant barrier in your attic, are you suggesting, or are you thinking that when someone goes to re-roof their home that there's no need for ridge vents anymore?
Well, it all depends. On the older houses that are already vented, that means you usually vent it through the soffit and the ridge vents and everything. And if you're changing out your roof to like a metal roof, yeah, I would get rid of the ridge vents and replace your soffit and seal it up a little bit tighter. And then I'd put the radiant barrier inside. You're going to go through that much money, take a little extra cost out. We've seen it save on some houses over in Orlando area, $225 a month on their electric bill by doing it that way. But yeah, we recommend having a closed attic. But if you've already got an open attic, add more cellulose blow-in insulation. You can do it yourself. You can rent it at Lowe's or Home Depot. It's really inexpensive to do. If you got a big enough attic that you can walk around, make sure that you know where your trusses are so that you don't step through the ceiling like I've seen some people do. And you can blow it in for a couple of $100 and save yourself hundreds of dollars a month on your air conditioning bill. The radiant barrier, as I say, it's really easy. It's very thin. It's less than a 1/4 inch thin. It comes in a roll, and it's silver on both sides. And as I say, it can be stapled to your decking boards. Just make sure that you use small staples. It can be glued up there. It's very easy to do, but it's very cost saving.
Thank you.
Barry Vasquez would like to speak.
Sure.
Okay. Barry? I think you have to unmute him.
I did. He's muted.
Barry, unmute yourself. Sounds like his dog.
Yeah.
I got you.
There we go.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome, Barry.
So thank you. So actually, I'm happy to hear that, we're sharing a lot of ideas here with everybody today. Congratulations, Bill, for a great presentation. and Jeannette for putting this whole program together. And, just greetings, no special message there, but I think there's lots of things we can be doing, moving forward. I think, Bill touched on some of the things that we've been trying to encourage, and that's really, going well beyond the building code. So there's things that are going on right now. There's an item that was actually passed up in Tallahassee that'll be on the ballot in November of 2022, where if you have an existing home and you do things to avoid damage from flooding, you usually would have a higher assessment on that property. What this amendment would do, if it passes, and I hope it does, is that extra value of the property is going to be immune from extra taxation for property tax. So which is a great thing. So you have a way that you can improve your properties that way. But we continue to try to encourage going well beyond the requirements of the building code. Unfortunately, we had the situation here in Surfside that, shows some of the things that happen when you don't maintain property in a proper fashion. So we're looking to, maybe we're going to have some conversations and things we may want to encourage that direction, but we've been trying to encourage people to go well beyond the requirements of the building code. Even down here in South Florida, our Miami building code is the minimum allowable way to build things. It's not something to strive for. Strive for is, like Bill's saying, go beyond what the requirements are. We can do better, and it doesn't cost very much if you plan ahead. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for the time.
Thanks, Barry.
Thank you,
that was one
Barry.
of the things I forgot to, Jeanette, is if you've got the brochure and looked at it and you've gone to the webinar and you still don't know which way to go or anything on your house and everything, you can always contact FGBC and find a certifying agent in your area. They'll be glad to come out and sit down and talk with you. And, Ralph and I have talked to people before, and one of the things we looked at, I don't have the money to do that right now. You can do this in stages. We can sit down and show you where your most energy is going out or your most water usage is, and figure a planned phase for you that you can do over a period of time so that the expense is not all on you at one time. And that's the nice thing about this retrofit brochure we have, is it shows you different things that you can do without having to do it all at once. And you can track how much your energy usage comes down, how much your water bill comes down, and what your yard looks like as you're doing these stages. And if they're coming down and they're looking better, you're going to want to do more. And that's always better.
You're right, Bill. And one of the things I always recommend to my customers, my real estate customers, is to go ahead and spring for an energy audit, which will also give you a path to follow and doesn't require you to do everything at once. It makes it much more affordable. And if you are financing or refinancing your home, you can go with an energy efficient mortgage that will incorporate a lot of these improvements. So those are some good points. And thank you, Barry, for sharing some of the legislation and information, which I'm sure all of us are looking forward to. So with that, I don't see any other questions. So we here at Florida Green Building Coalition are delighted that all of you chose to attend our Lunch and Learn webinar today, and hope you are leaving with some valuable information that will help you plan some future projects. Please join me next month when we will tour a green home that received our Platinum certification for existing homes earlier this year. That program will be called Designing and Living in a Green Home, and that'll be next Tuesday, August 10th, next month at 12 noon. Also, please help us by completing the survey when you leave today's session so we can plan future webinars based on your interests. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to view any of our videos that we've had, and also help us out. Thank you, and I look forward to meeting with everyone next month. Have a wonderful week.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Bye-bye.